What if a simple violin could become a stumbling block on the path to holiness? What if an innocent hunting trip revealed a crisis of conscience that would shape a saint's entire mission? The Miracles and Prophecies of St. John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Adrian Fonseca. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Welcome to the Miracles and Prophecies of St. John Bosco. I'm Adrian Fonseca. These videos exist to share timeless wisdom from St. John Bosco that can transform your spiritual life today. Today we're exploring a powerful question. What would you be willing to give up if it meant becoming the person that God created you to be? Young John Bosco faced this exact question twice during one unforgettable summer. First with his beloved violin, and then during a hunting trip. These weren't dramatic moments of temptation or even grave sin. They were ordinary activities that suddenly became obstacles between him and his calling. His response? Radical sacrifice that would shape his entire mission to save souls. As you watch, ask yourself, what seemingly innocent thing in your life might God be calling you to sacrifice for the sake of holiness? And later in this video, I'll share how you can join thousands of others who are storming heaven through daily mass and rosaries. It's the feast of St. Bartholomew in a small Italian village. The summer sun is warm, the church services are beautiful, and young seminarian John Bosco has just finished singing in the choir. His uncle Matteo, who would later live to be 102, is hosting a celebration. Even the local pastor joins in. After the meal, the guests turn to John with a request. Play your violin for us. Now, John had been a gifted violinist, but something had changed in his heart. He'd made a quiet decision not to play anymore, which is why he'd left his instrument at home. He politely refuses, but you know how these things go. One guest jumps up and says, "That's no problem. Someone in the village has a violin. I'll fetch it." Reluctantly, John begins to play. And then he hears it. Trampling feet, laughter, the unmistakable rhythm of dancing. John rushes to the window and his heart sinks. A crowd is gathered in the courtyard, dancing to his music. Listen to what he said in that moment. I, who always speak against public amusements, have become a promoter of them? The horror on those words, the devastation. He immediately stops playing and returns the borrowed violin and runs home. And what he does next is remarkable. He takes his own violin, lays it down, and smashes it underfoot. From that moment on, he never touched the instrument again, not even for sacred music. It was a solemn promise, and he kept it. Think about that. This wasn't a sinful object. This was a gift, a talent, something that brought joy to people. But for John Bosco, preparing for the priesthood, it had become a stumbling block. The next turning point came during a hunting trip. He and some friends chased a hare through the fields and vineyards for hours. Finally, John spotted it and fired. The animal fell. In his memoirs, he wrote, "The poor little beast fell, leaving me in supreme humiliation at seeing it destroyed." But here's what's fascinating. His friends were celebrating. But this wasn't about guilt over the kill. See, hunting itself isn't wrong. It was something else entirely. And John looked down at himself. No jacket, straw hat, shirt sleeves rolled up. In his own words, he looked like, quote, a smuggler. The lack of dignity in his appearance pierced him. Here he was preparing to become a priest, and he looked undignified. Ashamed, he apologized to his companions, ran home, and renounced hunting for good. Another promise made, another promise kept. Now, you might be thinking, wasn't this a little extreme? A violin, hunting, these aren't sins. And you'd be right, but that's exactly the point. Don Bosco wasn't fleeing from mortal sin, he was running towards holiness. And he understood something profound, that sometimes the good is the enemy of the best. Think about your own life for a moment. What activities fill your time? What hobbies come to mind? What relationships shape your choices? Are they inherently evil? Probably not. But are they drawing you closer to God, or just keeping you comfortable? Don Bosco's sacrifices weren't random acts of scrupulosity, they flowed from a tender conscience, that inner voice that whispers when something, even something good, is pulling us away from our true calling. Others began to notice this quality in him. Father Genzano, a brilliant theologian and mentor, said that he never saw anything common in John Bosco, only something extraordinary. For example, once while waiting for the parish priest, two young boys mocked him, and instead of disciplining them, Bosco simply smiled. "Let them enjoy themselves. They are young, and their pranks do me no harm." He constantly gave of himself to others. He taught 5 or 6 students from Castillo Nuovo every single week. Some paid, others didn't. He instructed them in Latin, philosophy, and theology. But every lesson began with God's commandments and ended with reminders to pray, obey the church's precepts, and flee occasions of sin. His time was spent praying and sacrificing to save souls. He smashed the violin, he left the hunt, all to say yes to Christ and no to the world. These weren't dramatic moments of resisting grave temptation. They were quiet choices in ordinary moments. The kind of choices that you and I face every single day. Don Bosco's life of radical sacrifice was sustained by 2 powerful spiritual practices: daily mass and the daily rosary. These weren't occasional devotions for him. They were the fuel that powered his mission to save souls. When you become a monthly promoter of St. John Bosco, you receive many gifts. And so here's what happens. Your personal intentions are included in a daily traditional Catholic Mass offered by a local priest. Every single day, your joys, sorrows, and hopes are lifted up to heaven at the altar. Your name is remembered in our daily rosaries, and you'll also receive incredible resources to deepen your faith. Crusade Magazine is delivered to your mailbox bi-monthly. Images of Our Lady Help of Christians and St. John Bosco, and St. John Bosco's own writings, Roadmap to Heaven and Sacred History. And here's what matters the most. You're joining thousands of Catholics who have said yes to helping promote the lessons of St. John Bosco to souls in need. The link is in the description box down below. Click it now and become a monthly promoter today. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. What in your life needs to be smashed? Not because it's evil, but because it's standing between you and the person that God created you to be. Don Bosco's story teaches us that holiness isn't just about avoiding sin. It's about pursuing God with such passion that we're willing to sacrifice even good things that might slow us down. You might not need to smash your violin or give up hunting, but you might need to ask yourself, what's occupying the space in my heart that belongs to God? What good thing is preventing me from experiencing the best thing? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. What's one thing that you feel that God might be asking you to sacrifice? I'd love to hear from you. And before we go, I want you to watch another powerful story about Don Bosco's formation. Click on the video on your screen right now. Mama Margaret explains how to dress for Mass. Her wisdom about external appearance and reflecting our interior disposition will challenge how you prepare for Mass. Click that video right now. Thank you for joining me today. St. John Bosco, pray for us. May God bless you, and Mary Immaculate keep you under her mantle. God love you.